For decades, viewers thought they understood him. The booming laugh that filled television studios. The towering, larger-than-life presence. The blunt, unapologetic honesty delivered night after night on Fox News. Tyrus looked like a man carved from certainty, confident, fearless, unmovable. But one quiet public moment changed everything. When cameras recently captured him stepping out beside a woman few even realized was his wife, the reaction was instant and intense. Who is she? Why has she stayed so far out of the spotlight? And what does her story reveal about the man millions think they already know? To understand that moment, you have to go much further back, long before television studios, championship belts, or bright lights. George Timothy Murdoch was born in Boston in 1973, into a world shaped not by comfort, but by survival. His parents were teenagers. His home was unstable. Violence wasn't an exception, it was routine. Fear wasn't occasional, it was constant. Childhood, as most people understand it, barely existed. Before he was old enough to fully understand pain, it had already found him. Abuse left scars that would never fade, including a physical injury that marked him for life, a permanent reminder of a childhood no one should have to endure. So here's a question worth asking. How does a child shaped by chaos ever learn discipline, purpose, or restraint? For Tyrus, the answer wasn't luck. It was endurance and escape. After his mother finally fled the abuse, another harsh truth emerged. Because of race, family members refused to take him in. He and his brother were placed into foster care, separated from the one person who had tried to protect them. At an age when most children are searching for belonging, Tyrus was questioning his own existence. He later admitted he once believed that if he could change the color of his skin, maybe someone would want him. Maybe then, he'd have a home. Eventually, the family reunited in Los Angeles. But peace never arrived. His mother worked endlessly just to survive, and violence re-entered their lives through a volatile stepfather. By 13, Tyrus lost his front teeth in a brutal attack. By 16, he realized something painful but necessary. No one was coming to save him. So he left. With nothing but a trash bag of clothes and no clear destination, he walked away from the only life he'd known. No safety net. No guarantees. Just the stubborn belief that staying would destroy him faster than leaving ever could. So ask yourself, how many people would keep going after that? What kept him standing was football. The field became more than a game, it became a refuge. Where life was unpredictable, football had rules. Where his past followed him everywhere else, it didn't matter between the lines. Coaches didn't ask where he came from. They asked if he showed up, worked hard, and stayed disciplined. For the first time, effort mattered more than history. Accountability mattered more than excuses. You earned your place, or you didn't. That lesson changed everything. It carried him through college, through professional wrestling, through injuries, setbacks, and the constant pressure to prove he belonged. And eventually, it carried him into media, where millions came to know Tyrus, the bold voice, the confident presence. But the man beside his wife that day, that was George Murdoch. A survivor. A protector. A man who learned, the hard way, that real strength isn't loud, it's steady. And maybe that's why he keeps his most important life out of the spotlight. Because after growing up unseen, unwanted, and unsafe, Tyrus understands something deeply human, something most people only learn after years of trial and regret. Not everything powerful needs to be public. Not every victory needs applause. Sometimes, the greatest success is simply building a life where pain no longer has the final word, and choosing love, quietly, every single day. Tyrus didn't grow up with stability. His early years were shaped by chaos, neglect, and survival instincts that never really switch off. When you grow up learning how to stay alert instead of how to feel safe, the world wires you differently. Trust becomes rare. Silence becomes familiar. And independence becomes armor. Football gave him something he'd never had before, structure. From junior college to the University of Nebraska at Kearney, he didn't just play the game. He learned discipline. He learned how to show up even when no one was watching. Coaches became guides. Teammates became something close to family. There were rules, expectations, accountability, things that had been missing for most of his life. And when football eventually ended, as it always does, he finished what he started. He earned his degree in physical education, not with fanfare, not with a safety net, and not with anyone rescuing him. Pride wouldn't allow him to ask for help. Survival had taught him to stand alone, even when standing alone hurt. But life wasn't finished testing him. Injuries closed one door, and reality forced another open. He worked wherever survival demanded, substitute teacher by day, nightclub bouncer by night. Long hours. Short sleep. A life built on grinding through exhaustion without complaint. Then fate intervened in the most unexpected way. One night, while breaking up a fight, his calm, commanding presence caught the attention of a professional wrestler. Not his size alone, but his composure. His ability to control chaos without becoming it. That moment changed everything. From wrestling rings to WWE, and later Impact Wrestling, the name Tyrus was born. But what audiences saw was only part of the story. Behind the persona was a man still learning how to trust success, still waiting for the floor to collapse beneath him. Then came another unexpected chapter: media. What began as playful banter with Greg Gutfeld turned into regular appearances, and eventually a role on Fox News programming. His humor wasn't polished. His perspective wasn't rehearsed. And his past wasn't packaged. That authenticity resonated. People didn't see perfection. They saw someone who had lived life the hard way and still showed up smiling. Someone who understood struggle without glamorizing it. Someone who spoke plainly because he'd never had the luxury of pretending. But then came controversy. In 2019, viewers noticed Tyrus quietly disappear from one program. No explanation. No farewell. Just absence. Behind the scenes, allegations emerged involving a former co-host. Lawsuits followed. Investigations were conducted. Claims were denied. Careers shifted. The media debated. The public speculated. And that leads to an uncomfortable question most people never ask honestly. How do you measure truth when legal outcomes, public opinion, and personal lives collide? Fox News stated that independent investigations found no wrongdoing. A settlement was later reached without admission of fault. The legal chapter closed, but anyone who has lived through public scrutiny knows this. Even when the case ends, the weight doesn't disappear overnight. While headlines focused on conflict, something else was happening quietly. Away from cameras, away from commentary, Tyrus was building a life anchored in patience, not publicity. In January 2024, he married Ingrid Rink Herbert, a woman who had already been his partner for nearly a decade. Their story didn't begin with fame. It began with coffee, routine conversations, mutual respect. Two adults choosing consistency over chaos. No rush. No spectacle. Ingrid built her own life long before becoming a public figure by association. A fitness professional for over 25 years, she transformed personal hardship, including losing 150 pounds and raising a child with type 1 diabetes, into a wellness business grounded in discipline, structure, and self-respect. Together, they chose something rare in modern success stories: quiet. A farm in northern New Jersey. Open land. Family routines. Days shaped by responsibility rather than reaction. Even a household filled with exotic animals, a place Tyrus openly credits with improving his mental health. What's striking isn't the chaos, it's the order behind it. Ingrid runs the household like a system. Roles are clear. Expectations are steady. Structure replaces stress. And the man once shaped by instability finally lives inside intention. Which brings us to the real question worth sitting with. What does success look like in the second half of life? For Tyrus, it isn't noise. It isn't speed. And it certainly isn't universal approval. It's patience, consistency, and the courage to stop surviving long enough to start building. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the loudest. They're the ones that took a lifetime to become steady.